Rugby Championship Team of the Week, folks, for week number 2. What a Rugby Championship we have got thus far, folks. It's been gangbusters, cracking stuff for two rounds. Every team's had a win, every team's had a loss. We've got a week off, which is a pity. But, yeah, things will resume in a fortnight. We're going to go through 15 guys and pick out some kind of good performances. And you guys can let me know your thoughts on who you would have in a Team of the Week if you were picking it on your own. I should say, if you guys are in the States and haven't caught up on the Rugby Championship, man, it's all on Flow Rugby. It's been a cracking tournament. Like I said, they got the NPC as well to get your rugby fix between here and then. So link in the description for Flow for you guys in America. Props, I'm going to start with an Argentinian. And it's kind of no surprise that I went with Tomás Gallo. Goodness gracious me. Like, there's kind of two kinds of props in rugby, like the ones that just get down and do the business, the likes of a Mal Herber or the Franks brothers back in the day for the All Blacks, like the ones who just mainly do the scrummaging, and that's why they're there. We don't really, as if you're a fan, you maybe don't really see them that much, but if you're observing at scrum time, you know which side's going to have that rock solid prop. Props like Gallo are not really that kind of prop. I mean, he's good in scrummaging. He was certainly better than last week, and I wouldn't pick him if he was rubbish. He didn't concede any penalties in the scrum this week up against Big Taniela, so he certainly stepped up that area of his game. But he's the kind of prop who you notice because he's got like bleach blonde hair and just loves to run with the ball. Two tries. One he kind of powers over when he should have been brought down, and the second one I think he kind of was brought down, but the ref rules that he wasn't held in a tackle. So yeah, man, 2 tries from a loose head young man, not too bad. He's got a fantastic scoring rate for a very few caps in his career. I don't know how many tries he's got, like 4, 5 in less than 10 games. He's having a cracking run. 21 metres he ran from 8 runs. He beats a defender. He also makes 11 from 12 tackles, and he also has a turnover one. 1 turnover conceded, but no penalties conceded. Like, he's right up there for Player of the Week. I know he's not going to get it because he's got a prop. But he's a prop who scores 2 tries, gets meters, gets turnover, makes most of his tackles, doesn't concede penalties. The scrum and the forward play is much better from Argentina compared to last week. Like, phenomenal stuff. Tomás Gallo, remember the name. And I actually went with his propping partner this week, Francisco KODELA. Now, he's the opposite kind of prop. He's the guy who you don't see because he's not getting tries. He's just propping the scrum. Like, stats-wise, there's not a lot to shout home compared to his mate. He's got a pass, 2 runs. He makes 6 from 7 tackles, which is solid. He concedes 1 penalty, but it's an offside penalty from memory, where the Wallabies are hot on attack, and he doesn't quite get back before making a second tackle. So he causes Holloway to knock it on, but it's an easy 3 for the Wallabies. So you could say he helped stop 7 because they lost possession, but he did certainly concede 3. But no penalties at scrum time. That's kind of what you want from an, as I said, Argentinian forward pack that was under the pump last week. No maul tries conceded, right? So plays 64 minutes, a pass and 2 runs. So like I said, stats-wise, nothing much to shout home about. But I mean, Gallo gets his first try. Who's right there behind him pushing him over? KODELA. So yeah, less flair, but certainly a lot to like from him. Hooker, I went with the All Black Samisoni Toke Aho. He just continues to look like our best front rower. If I'm not mistaken, he probably had more run meters, which is not why you pick him, but I think more run meters than the entire New Zealand front rowers combined, like the other guys. All the props and Hooker, reserve Hooker combined, I don't think had as many as his 20 meters. 12 runs, so he's not like getting a heap of meters per carry, but he's getting over the advantage line, which is what you want. Beats a couple of defenders, gets his try. Lekanyu who also had a pretty good game, just quietly, is unable to stop him from a meter out, which is to be expected when it's a hooker up against the back. 4 passes, 2 offloads, 5 from 5 tackles, so he didn't just run. He can chuck the ball around a wee bit when needs to be, 100% with his tackles. Wins a turnover. I mean, he does throw a couple of line-out throws a wee bit too high, but they're still like 80% for the All Blacks overall. Concedes a turnover, has a penalty conceded. But man, like I said, he gets good go-for ball. He gets his try well like he should. The line-out for the most part is pretty solid. Defensively pretty solid. So yeah, the guy continues to impress. No doubt in my mind, he's our number one hooker. But yeah, who else could you shout out for the front rowers this week? I mean, Ta'avao certainly did better than I think many of us thought he would, especially at scrum time. The All Blacks didn't seem to be under the pump quite as much. He got pinged at least once or twice, but still, it seemed to be a general step up from the All Blacks forward pack. But yeah, there you go. That's your front row. Locks. I went with another Argentinian, if I can spell his name, TOMÁS LAVANINI. I think I picked him last week as well. The big unit of a man just continues to be very busy. Guess what? How many penalties did he concede? None. No cards, no penalties. Almost unbelievable from that guy because he used to be a penalty machine. And we've kind of seen this from him before, where he's had a spell where he doesn't concede any penalties. Like a clean spell, if you will. I can't remember if it was him playing for the Juarez or for Argentina, where I was kind of monitoring him for a while and thinking, man, he's doing all right. So, yeah, he's keeping his nose clean, which is pleasing to see because he's a good player, man. He's a big human being. He has 9 runs for 13 metres, so again, not that much in terms of meterage, but high in terms of work rate. Most locks, struggle to crack a metre per carry, and he's slightly over, beats a defender, but very good involvements. It's what you want if you're Michael Cheika. 3 passes, wins a couple of lineouts, 11 from 13 tackles, is one of the top tacklers for Argentina this week, and yeah, like I said, doesn't concede any penalties. So getting that big body of his where it needs to be. And the Argentinian 4-pack, like I mentioned, was just majorly improved on last week, so you got to give him a bit of credit for that. Other lock, I went with Scotty Barrett. You probably could have gone with either of the All Blacks locks, to be honest, but I went with Scotty Barrett. He also, I don't think he conceded any penalties. I think Whitelock conceded like 3, but Barrett, I don't think conceded any. He gets a try as well, which is always a bit of icing on the cake. Weirdly, like he was sure Artie Savia had scored like a phase or 2 before his own try, and he was yelling at the ref that he'd scored it, and the ref wasn't having a bar of it, so he just bugger him and took it on himself to just go and score it. Like, if you're not going to give it to me, I'll just, or if you're not going to give it to us, I'll just do it myself. So he ends up getting the try. He has 8 runs for 16 metres, which is kind of like Lavanini, pretty busy, pretty effective. He has 6 passes, so he's kind of, one of their guys to help spin the ball out wide, where they do want to get that bit of width. He's capable of that. 4 from 6 tackles is not fantastic. That's the kind of one area where I would look at him and be like, question mark. But I mean, also I noticed him flying up out of the line a fair bit. I think it was him largely trying to make Hendricks' life miserable, and maybe he's part of the reason that Hendricks didn't seem to have as good a time with the boot. I certainly know that time Hendricks kicked it out on the full. That was Scotty Barrett who was kind of charging down on him, but yeah, it sometimes happens when guys charge up that their tackle stats suffer. But yeah, wins a line out, wins a couple of turnovers. So overall, man, Scotty Barrett, I thought, had a pretty good shift for the All Blacks there. So that's your type 5. Like I mentioned, Whitelock is another potential shout. But yeah, there you go. Loose forwards. I went with another Argentinian in Juan Martín Gonzalez. And he also scores a try. He only runs the ball once in that game. And it's the kick that the Aussies don't field. They let it bounce. And he's got the presence of mind to chase the kicks. It's not always easy. But he's putting himself in a position where, just in case I've got a chance to get ball here, if it bounces my way, I want to be there. So that's kind of what he does, which is, maybe it's a kind of low percentage play, right? How many times are you going to chase those and it's actually going to end up in your hands? Maybe not that many, but just in case you do it, and he does, and he gets rewarded, man. 1 run, 30 metres, a clean break, and a try. So all in the one fell swoop. So good stuff from him to be doing that. But I mean, his key role is his tackling. He tackles 12 from 13 times. He does miss the one tackle, if you can call it a miss, on Ikitau, which ends up being a try. I mean, you call it a miss because Ikitau ends up getting a try. I think he would be convinced that Ikitau was brought to the ground, but not according to Carl Dixon. So 12 from 13 tackles from him. But he wins 2 turnovers. He makes his tackles. He gets his turnovers. He wins a couple of lineouts. He makes 3 passes. So overall, really busy effort from him. And like I said, it's just work rate to be chasing things like kicks and getting through tackles and whatnot. So yeah, good shift. He's doing himself really well. Another flanker, and I've kind of been a bit cheeky and moved Savia to the flank. That's 2 weeks in a row. Sorry, folks, but Adi Savia does end up on the flank towards the end of the game, but he continues to impress. I know I'm tempted to, well, probably looks like I'm going like full fanboy mode on Savia, but he very rarely has a bad game, man. He gets a try assist. He gets denied for a try, like I mentioned for the one before Barrett ended up getting his try, but he ends up with an assist where he draws like 2 or 3 tackles before popping the ball to Havili, who's able to go over. So great try assist from him. 13 runs for 51 meters, so very, very busy. Gets a clean break, which I'm pretty sure would be the cross kick from Havili, where he beats a couple of defenders. Well, ends up with 3 for the game. 8 passes and 3 offload, makes 4 from 4 tackles, wins 2 turnovers, wins 2 lineouts. Like, the guy just does it all, doesn't he? Like, as I said, he's denied a try, but there's not much he didn't do in that game. So, yeah, Adi Savia very busy, and he's fully in support of his coach as well. So, bit of loyalty from him, which is, you know, good to see. Good to see a guy sticking up for his coach. He doesn't have to stick his neck out like that, but he does. And the reason I moved him to the flank was to accommodate Rob Valentini. Now, the Aussies had a pretty stink day at the office, didn't they? But Rob Valentini genuinely looked very good. Like, I've been saying that about Savia the last few weeks when the All Blacks have been getting beaten. But Rob Valentini was the Wallabies' best player, I think, by a mile, wasn't he? Now, interestingly, the Wallabies scored a bunch of maul tries last week, so they seem to be varying it up quite a lot. And he was often their guy kind of steaming onto the ball when they were, instead of mauling it, they were trying to get it out and get it to his hands at pace. So that worked a treat. 12 runs for 69 metres is phenomenal. He beats 5 defenders. He's got a clean break. I'm sure that would have been from line-out time. Like before James Slipper gets the try, he's doing just that. Like it's an Aussie line-out. He powers it up, goes close himself, and then slips, picks, and goes from the next phase. So he basically sets that try up. 4 passes and an offload, makes 9 from 10 tackles, so also defensively busy. Wins a turnover, wins a line-out. I mean, he does give away 2 penalties, and has a turnover conceded, but honestly, the guy was just immense. I probably could have picked him last week, but all the number 8s I thought were really good last week. So, yeah, Rob Valentini, 2 really good games from him, and in a losing shift, he did pretty well. So there's your forwards. I mean, McCright was also pretty decent. Visa was good when he came on for the Box, but yeah, that's your forward pack. The Argentinian theme continues for number 9 with Gonzalo Bertranoux. Remember, he didn't even make the 23 the week before, but he comes in and does pretty tidy work. He gets 2 try assists. Remember, the Argentinians absolutely piled on the points against the Wallabies. One of them is just a pass to De La Fuente from the line-out, and De La Fuente does the whole, pulls a hamstring on the way to the goal line, but still manages to go over. And then the other one, what was the other one? I can't even remember. But he's credited with 2 of them. Was it a kick? It must have been a kick, because so many of the Argentinian tries were from kicks. I've forgotten to write it down on my notes. 49 passes, though. 4 runs for 19 metres, and he's got four kicks in there as well. So kind of varied game. He's obviously mostly doing passing, which is a key role. But when he takes the ball to the line, he's effective. And when he kicks, he's effective as well. Beats a defender, wins a turnover, makes 8 from 8 tackles, so defensively pretty solid. Does concede a penalty and a turnover conceded. But overall, the guy got his forward pack going forward pretty well, be it with his passing game or with his boot. And yeah, caps it off with a couple of try assists. Even KODELA gets a try assist towards the end. So the Argentinian number 9s were just generally having a pretty good day at the office. And then number 10, I had to go with Richie Mo'unga. He's not had much in the way of starts this season, has he? He's been on the bench playing second fiddle to Bodie, but he was given his chance against the Box. And I think he stepped up pretty well, man. 3 conversions. I think he misses the 1, but 3 penalties as well for 15 points. So needed a good day at the office with the boot, and he gets that. And his kicking game is good. And I like the balance of his numbers, man. 21 passes, 10 kicks, and 5 runs. So it's a good balanced game from Richie. I know he does get turned over once when we're kind of trying to exit our own 22, and he decides not to kick. I haven't gone back to watch that moment, but I remember he gets turned over once when we're kind of under pressure in our own half. But apart from that, I thought his running game was pretty tidy. 5 runs, 16 metres. Like, he's not absolutely cutting teams to bits, but when he ran it, it was, I guess, good to keep a bit of variation. 2 defenders beaten and an offload, 21 passes, like I mentioned. Does have 2 turnovers conceded, but 5 from 5 tackles. just controlled the show really well. I mean, pulled the strings, similar to, I guess, what Pollard did the week before. Your number 10 doesn't have to be doing it all yourself. You just need to pull the strings and run the back line. So I think that's what Richie did. And Ian Foster will have an interesting selection, if he's still in charge, to go through when they play the Pumas in a fortnight's time. So there's your 9 and 10. KODELA also was a good shout from Argentina as well. He kicked a really good 50-22, and he did get flattened at one point by, I think it was by VALETINI, on the way to the line when Slipper got that try, but still, there you go. Midfield, number 12, I ended up going with DAMIAN WILLEMSE. Now, I know he gets yellow carded, but that's the kind of situation where maybe you cop a yellow card for the team. Savi has had that cross kick from Harvey. He's going bloody close to the line. Willemse slows it down just enough. I think he's off his feet, right? He's got his hands on it. And he cops a yellow. But he potentially saves a try. And then the Springboks don't concede any points during his absence. So it's one of those ones where it's a kind of yellow card well spent. It's not always. Sometimes your team ends up getting punished. Look at the Argentinians last week. They conceded a yellow and just shipped points like crazy. So it doesn't always work that way, but that one you would say is a pretty valuable yellow. It's the only penalty he concedes at the game. Now remember, he starts at fullback, and he was at fullback for that moment, but with Creel going off injured, he moves into the midfield pretty early. He played much of the URC season there, so pretty comfortable for him. He finishes the game with a try assist, and that pass to Mapimpi out wide was an absolute thing of beauty. The distance he got on that thing, because Jordan was, I think it was turnover ball, wasn't it? So Jordan was kind of in field. Proper thing of beauty. Backs his execution. Not an easy pass to make, man. Real, probably pass of the week. 6 runs, 25 metres, 3 defenders beaten. So carrying really well. 10 passes and 2 kicks. So not as much of a kicking game from him this week. Obviously when he's at 12. 12 from 15 tackles is, pretty busy. 3 missed. He'd obviously like to make that a little bit better, but it's not too bad. I think one of the misses is probably on Savia when he was at fullback as well, when Savia was charging for the line, because I think he did miss him. But overall, I think that's encouraging signs. It'd be nice to see Willemse. It's good seeing him at 15, but it'd also be nice to see him maybe pop up at 12 at some point, maybe even at 10, I don't know. But he's certainly a guy who's stepped up. I think I've got him in 2 weeks in a row now as well. He's just upped his game, I think this year, maybe the end of last year as well. So happy days if you're a Springboks fan. Midfielder with the centre position, 13, I went with Rico Ioane. He ends up getting man of the match. I think Gajo got man of the match in this one, but Ioane got man of the match against the Boks, so kind of hard to argue with that. A lot of question marks about him at centre, but one of his better shifts for sure. Attacking-wise, he's just dangerous. 10 runs for 102 metres, a clean break and 5 defenders beaten. So that's kind of typical Rico when he's on the wing numbers. And I don't know how many of those numbers are from when he shifted out to the wing towards the end of the game. Like, he certainly got, I think, that clean break at the end, didn't he? So does Rico look better on the wing? I think a lot of people would still argue yes. 5 passes and an offload. Defensively, 7 from 8 tackles. That aspect of his game has certainly come along pretty well. But, yeah, Rico very busy getting the All Blacks up the field a few times. So, yeah, happy days. When he's in space, he looks really dangerous. There you go. Maybe he needs to have a crack at the wing again. We'll leave it to the selectors. I almost put Rico here because he did move out to the wing, but I ended up going with one Imhoff from the Pumas for the outside backs. I couldn't deny him, man. Well, the dude's like 34 years old, but he's still got wheels. He scores a try within the first minute. He puts a little grubber kick through. The Aussie defenders are at kind of 6s and 7s. They're back through. He didn't have a good week, the Aussies. But, yeah, he's another one that backs himself to chase that ball. It ends up coming into his hands, and he cruises over for a try. 4 runs, 57 metres, good return. 4 runs, 2 clean breaks, pretty good return. 4 runs, 3 defenders beaten. Like effectiveness of his carrying, very, very good, you'd have to say. 5 passes and an offload, makes 3 from 3 tackles, wins a turnover. He does have 1 turnover conceded, but Imhoff, who came into the side on the left wing, the veteran, I think certainly justified his selection. The other wing, I think you'd be hard-pressed to go past Lukhanyo this week. Goodness gracious me. Another one who, even when the Boks don't win, still tends to look good, doesn't he? Well, unbelievable. He is in the form of his life. He gets a try, which is a proper thing of beauty. That how he got rid of Caleb Clark, who pretty much had his arms all the way around him, I don't understand. But every week he seems to do something that defies some kind of laws of physics or something. But he gets his try, 8 runs for 137 metres. Like in Super Rugby, you might see the odd fullback crack 120, 130 metres, but All Blacks Springboks test match, pretty rare, I would imagine. That's got to be a record. 137 metres. That's bonkers. Like a low-scoring, like tight affair with lots of kicking. Sometimes a team doesn't get that many metres. Like it'd be rare, but that is crazy. 4 clean breaks. I think the Springboks had about 7 in total. So 4 of them are Lucanio arm. 5 defenders beaten. Unbelievable. 5 passes. 1 from 3 tackles ain't that flash, but often wingers' tackles are a bit lower. 2 turnovers conceded, but also 2 turnovers won, and a couple of kicks from him. And he set up that line break for the Mapimpi denied try as well. So, yeah, crazy stuff, man. Crazy stuff from Lucanio. And then fullback, I ended up rounding us out with another Kiwi in old Jordie Barrett. I mean, nothing that flash, but the All Blacks didn't need flash. The All Blacks needed to catch some high balls, and I think he dropped the first one of the game, which kind of had me a bit unsettled. But if memory serves, otherwise the All Blacks generally, but especially Jordie, did pretty well in that department. So he has 8 runs for 31 metres, which again is not like 137 like had, but it's decent enough. He's got a defender beaten, 5 passes. Not called upon to make up any tackles, but he does get a turnover. He's also got 1 turnover conceded, but I mean, I'm pretty sure it's him that passes the ball over Mapimpi. Because remember, Mapimpi's job was to always kind of shoot up and close down that space on the wings. So Jordie gets it over Mapimpi. Mapimpi's left trailing Jordan, and then Jordan gets to Kane for that final try, right? Not final try, but the Sam Kane try. So Jordie would kind of get a secondary try assist if rugby did secondary assists, but they don't. But yeah, as I said, secure at the back, which compared to last week was really, really, really much needed. But there you go. Some other guys might be worth a shout. Moroni in the Argentinian midfield was good. Havili was also one of his better games in an All Blacks jersey. Boffelli for the Pumas. Caleb Clark. Pimpy obviously took his try really well when he got his chance. But yeah, there you go, folks. Team of the week for round 2 of the Rugby Championship. Certainly not perfect, as always, but it is my one. So I think I got some pretty good performers in there. You guys let me know your thoughts, as always. If you do want some rugby jerseys, people often ask me where to get rugby jerseys. Love Rugby, link down in the description for them. They've got a wide selection as well. So some jerseys that you might not otherwise be able to find. So yeah, I recommend them. They're an affiliate of the channel, and I've used them many a time. So happy to put them down in the description. But yeah, as always, folks, let me know your thoughts, and yeah, till you guys again soon. See you later.